Hey you, this is Baba. So in this video, we're going to learn HTML. Just so you know, this video is part of a series wherein I teach you web development from start to finish. So even if you're a complete beginner, this course is for you. So this course is going to be based off of two things. That is front-end web development and back-end web development. So let me pause for a moment. For those who don't know what front-end and back-end are, we're going to explain them in a moment. So front-end web development is kind of like designing the appearance of your site. So the forms and the navbars and the buttons, everything you see physically in your web page is the front end. Now what happens behind the scene is the back end. So like when you go to your web browser and you type like facebook.com, so this is Facebook page. So when you come to this page, you can see that you have a form right here where you type in your email address and your password, and then you click on login. So this is just like everything you see here is part of the front end. It's just the design of your site. So when someone fills a form and now hit on the login button, what happens when someone clicks on the login button? So it's going to go into the server, maybe check for your details. If you are registered in Facebook. If you're not, then you have to register and all those things. So all those things that happen behind the scene that you are not seeing. Those are the back end. And maybe when you click on create my account, you want to create a new Facebook account, and you will be given a form to fill. So when you fill this form and you click on the sign up button, so these details you fill are going to be sent to Facebook using some scripts that they have written in the back end. So like the front end and the back end work together. So when you know both the front end and the back end, you now have a full stack experience. You now be called a full stack web developer, and that's what you aim by taking this course. We aim to make you a full stack web developer by learning both the front end and the back end. So for this course, the front end, we are going to basically learn three languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then we'll learn with a Bootstrap framework, which is a CSS framework, and then we'll also learn library, JavaScript library, which is jQuery. So those things are not things that I should worry about now. When we actually get to that point, you understand them better. But for the front end, we're going to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and jQuery. And then for the back end, we'll learn Python, and then we'll also learn a Python framework called Django. And then we'll learn APIs, how we're going to create APIs and integrate other people's API into our website. And then when we're done with the learning, then we'll now build a project. We'll build an e-commerce project. So that's just like, that will show us how to apply all the skills that I've learned to building a real website that people can use. People that can come and buy stuff, and they can also like pay online. So we are going to actually build those. We are going to build an e-commerce website literally after we finish learning everything. So with that said, let's get right into HTML. To begin coding HTML, you need two things. So you need a text editor and you need a browser. So the text editor is where you're going to be typing in your HTML codes, and then the browser is where you're going to be displaying the results of your code. So like where you're going to be seeing how your code will look like. So for this course, I'm going to be using Notepad++, and then for the browser, I'll be using Google Chrome. So if you want to get Notepad++, you want to go to google.com and type in Notepad++. So Notepad++ is actually a text editor for Windows. So you can use Notepad++ for Mac. If you're on Mac, you're gonna want to use something like Atom Text Editor. So to download Notepad Text Editor, when you like search this in Google, you see the downloads, and then you just click on it. It takes you to the Notepad page. So like the current version at the time of recording this video is version 7.7.1. so when you hit on that, you're going to have an option to download the one for your computer. So if you're using a 32-bit architecture, you choose that, and if you're using a 64-bit, you choose that if you're on Windows. So when you click on any of, like if you're going to install it, you click on this. If you want the zip package, you click on this one. So basically when you click on that, you have your download started. So that's it for those who are going to be using Notepad++. If you are on Mac, however, you just type in Atom text editor. So when you are given this result, you open the Atom text editor website, and then you get a download button. So it automatically detects your operating system. For me, I'm using Windows, and that's why it's showing me that I'm on a 64-bit Windows. So you just download, you click the download button here, and then you install Atom text editor if you're on Mac. But on Windows, we're going to be using Notepad++. So with that said, let's get started. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So the work of HTML is actually to structure your content on the web page. So this whole area is your web page, and then all these contents that you see here are actually HTML. They are structured in HTML. So let's get into our text editor and understand better how HTML does that. So here's my Notepad text editor. I'm going to start by typing the HTML skeleton and then use that to explain what tags are. So let's get started. So when you basically when you open an HTML document, a new HTML document, you should type in this line, doc type HTML. So this just has to be in all of your HTML documents. So after that, then you now have the HTML tag. So this is called a tag. A tag is basically, it has an opening like angular bracket and then a closed angular bracket. So this is a tag. But then all this whole thing is called an opening tag. So when you open a tag in HTML, you will close the tag. So, and to close the tag, you're going to write the same thing, except that you're going to put a / here. So this is like the opening tag and this is the closing tag in HTML. So this is an HTML tag, which is the opening tag, and this is the HTML close tag. So all of your content in HTML goes into this HTML tag. So content usually are placed between the opening and the closing tag. So all of our HTML content goes into this HTML opening and closing tag. So they come between these two tags. So and then we'll now write in the head tag. The head tag, this is the opening head tag, and then we'll also close the head tag. So what this tag does is it allows us to display some content in our tab section. So let me explain. When I go to my browser, this place that you see Atom here, that is where what the head allows us to do. It allows us to write something in there using the title tag. So when you open a new tab, you see that just a new tab. So whatever is displayed here is the function of the head. So using the title tag, there's a tag called title tag. So you just write title, you open the tag and you close the tag. So and then after that we're through with the head. Then there's a body tag. So all of your content that is going to be displayed in the web page is going to come inside this body tag. So we have opened the tag here and then we close the tag here. So the tag, both the opening and the closing tag, they look alike, except that the closing tag has a / before the tag name. So like this is basically the HTML skeleton I'm talking about. So this is the HTML skeleton. Now let's fill in things and then see how it looks in the browser. So in this place we're going to put a title and say like this is our first HTML, and then that's all. So in the body we're going to just write hello world. So this is like the basic program we've written in HTML, the basic web page we've written in HTML. So we have to save this page and then view it in our browser to see how it looks. So to save this, you can either use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+S, or you go to File and click on Save. So it's going to bring a dialog box and ask you to choose where you're going to save your file. So this is a full course. So I'm going to create a file called web development and put in my HTML inside there. So this is the folder HTML web development. So go into the folder, and then the name is going to be index. So the file type is going to be hypertext markup language. So it's not going to be a normal text file, but an hypertext markup language. So it's here. So you choose, or you click on this, and then you notice that after your index you have .html. So it has changed the extension of your file to an HTML file. So with that, you just hit on the save button, and our HTML is connected. So you can see that it's now separating the tags from our content. Like the tags have a different color and the content have a different color. So it's good. So let's now view this in our browser by going to run and launch in Chrome. For me, if you're using Firefox, it's going to be launched in Firefox. If you're using IE, which is Internet Explorer, you're going to be launched in IE. If you're using Safari, launch in Safari. But I'm using Chrome, I'm going to launch in Chrome. So let me hit that, and you can see this is our basic HTML, and it's cool. So when you look at the tab here, you see that this is our first HTML. That is actually the work of this title tag. It displays what is inside the content of the title tag in the tab section. So that is what the title tag does, and you can see that it is exactly as we write it here. So, and then coming to the body, to the web page itself, you can see we have our hello world HTML. So like this is cool. Like this, we just wrote HTML as a hello world in the body, and that's why it's displaying hello world. That's cool. So this is like the basic HTML page that we can start with. Heading tags. So in HTML there are tags that are used to present your headings. So depending on the size of heading you want, you use the size that suits your need. So to start working with the HTML heading tags, we're going to create a new file, and then we type in our normal doc type. Like this has to be there, doc type HTML. I will close this. So after this, we'll now come and put our HTML tag, and then close the HTML tag. So we should have the heading tag, which is head, and close it. So in here we'll have a title. So let's say working with headings. Working with headings. So we'll have the body here. Close the body. So this is where we're going to have our HTML heading tags. So starting with the first one, which is H1, because they are H1 through H6. So like from as they keep going down, the size keeps reducing. So H1. So we're going to say, okay, this is heading 1, and then we'll write H2 to H2, and then we'll say this is heading 2, H3, this is heading 3, H4, this is heading 4, H5, this is heading 5, H6, this is heading 6. So to save this, I'm going to name this file headings. So instead of coming to this place and choose .h and choose a hypertext markup language, we just include that into the file name by just saying .html, and it still works the same way. So you save it, and our page is connected. So you can see the H1 tags, H2, H3 up to H6 are recognized as tags. So to see how this will look, we're going to open this in our browser and see how it will look. So you can see the different HTML headings in different sizes. Like this is the first one, the second tag, the third tag, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth. So as the tag like H1 in H2 it becomes smaller, H3 becomes smaller than H2, H4 smaller than H3, H5 smaller than H4, and H6, which is the least, so it's the smallest. So depending on your need, you will choose the tag you want. Paragraph tags. So paragraph tags are used to display your main content. So when you have a heading, you're going to have a content for that heading. So the paragraph tag does that. So like, let's create a new file and start working on that. So we include our doc type HTML. Then we begin typing the normal things we type, which is HTML, HTML, and then head. So in here we're going to have the title. So we're going to say basic content. So let's have the body and the body too. So now to display our content, we will need a heading for our content. So let's use the H1 to do that. H1, we're going to have a big heading. H1. So let's say our basic content. So this is how the paragraph tag looks like. Just write P, that's all. So then in here we're going to have our paragraph inside of this place. So what we're going to say is HTML stands for hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language. Then we'll need another tag P again, using the same paragraph. And then we're going to say HTML is used to structure contents on the web page. Let's add another one. Say HTML is needed by every web page. So this is how you use the heading tags. This is how you use the paragraph tag. It allows you to display your content, the main content. So let's save this and call this basic.html. So everything is working perfectly. We need to just run this and see how it looks like. And you can see this is how it looks. So this is our H1, and then these are the paragraph tags. Let me zoom that in. So this is our heading, and then this is the paragraphs for displaying the main contents. HTML attributes. So now is a good time to introduce HTML attributes. So HTML attributes allows you to give additional information to your HTML tag. So supposing we want this our HTML heading to be in the middle, like this heading should be placed in the middle, we'll use an attribute called align, and then we'll assign it to center. So this attribute align will take this content into the middle. And supposing we want this one to be in the right, we will now say align equals to right. So let's save this and see how it looks in the browser. So you can see that the heading is in the middle and this paragraph is in the right. So basically this is what an attribute allows you to do. It allows you to give additional information about your HTML tag. Multimedia in HTML. Multimedias are your videos, audios, and pictures. So you can place all those contents in your HTML page. There are tags that you can use to achieve that. So but before we do that, we need to actually copy some videos and audios and picture into our web development folder that we can use to do that. So I'm going to copy that right now. So I'm going to go to my music and copy a music into the web development folder. So I'll create a new folder here called multimedia. Then I'll place my multimedia inside here. So I'll go to pictures and copy one picture and place it in this place. And then I also need a video, so I'll place this here too. So I have all these three content here that I'm going to use for multimedia. So one is called horizontal.mp3, the picture is html.png, then the movie is the flash.mp4. so let me just rename this to flash, just flash.mp4. Cool. So now let's begin with images, but we'll open a new HTML file for that. Then we type in our doc type HTML. We begin writing our HTML tag. So we have the head, also close the head. So the title is going to be multimedia. Working with multimedias. We'll now move into the body. That's where we have our contents. The tag for working with HTML image is called img. So it's like this, img. Then there's an attribute called src. So that is asking you to give HTML the source, like where to find your HTML document. So it is src. And then in the root of this folder, our web development folder, there is another folder called multimedia. So in that folder, that is where our file is in, and then the file name is HTML, and then the type of the file is PNG. So you are going to specify the path where your file is, and also the file type .png or .jpeg or whatever. So this is how our own looks, and then it's going to be in a quote. So with this, your picture should be displayed in the browser. But there's another attribute called alt. Just in case HTML couldn't find your file, your picture is going to display this text. So you are going to just say HTML image. So let's save this as multimedia.html. So everything is working cool. So let's run this in our browser and see how it looks. And you can see our images displayed in the browser. So now let's try something else. Let's just make one mistake, and maybe we didn't type in the full name, or instead of writing PNG we wrote JPG. So let's save this and go back to the browser and refresh. You'll see that it's displaying the text that was in the alt attributes. So that's the work of the alt attributes. Like in case your image is not found, the text inside the alt attributes is going to be displayed. So let's fix that. This is a PNG image. So go to the browser and your image is there. It's working perfectly. Good. So to import an audio in your web page, you are going to use the audio tag. So audio, and then you're going to close the audio tag. So the next thing you want to do is to provide the source of the document. So you're going to say source, and you're going to also close the source. So in this place, you're going to give in the src attributes, which is similar to the src in the img. So you're going to go to the same folder, because they are in the same folder, multimedia, and then the audio here is azonto.mp3. So this is how it looks, and then you have to also tell the web page the type of document you are putting in. Is it an mp3 document or an OGG or whatever? So in this case it is an audio slash mp3 document. Cool. So you save this and refresh your browser. Yes, you will not see anything because you've not actually asked the browser what to do with the audio file. So one thing we are going to give it now is the controls attribute. So this allows you to play and pause and do whatever you want to do with the audio file. So let's go back to the browser and refresh this, and you can see the audio file here. So you can play it and listen to it. You can even like forward it, and you can even mute it. So let's try playing for like 5 seconds and see if it works. So you can see that the music works perfectly. Everything is working perfectly. So we have our audio and we have our image. So the control allows you to be able to play and pause and forward and perform all other media functions on your audio file. So that's basically how you're going to import an audio into your HTML web page. Now let's try the video. So with the video, you also need to use the video tag. So close the video tag, and then you're going to provide the source also, the source, and then you use the src attribute to tell it where the file is. So this is multimedia, and then the file name is flash.mp4, and then you're going to give in the type of file, which is a video file and mp4. So basically this is going to do the same thing. So when you go to your browser and refresh this, you can see the video here. It has seen the video, but you can't play, you can't pause, you can't do anything. So you also include the controls attribute here, controls. So when you type this in and you go back to your browser and refresh, you can see that you can play the video now, you can forward, you can do whatever you want to do. You can even go on full screen and play the video. So let's play the video for like 5 seconds and stop it.
Last season on The Flash.
So you can see that the video works perfectly. So we're going to exit out of the full screen, and basically this is how you import a video into your HTML web page. HTML tables. So you can work with tables, you can design your tables in HTML. There are tags that you can use to do that in HTML. So basically tables contains rows and columns. So in this section of the course, we're going to design a table that is going to be 5 rows and 3 columns. So let's get started. Open a new file and then type in your the doc type HTML. Doc type HTML. Then begin typing the HTML tag and the closing HTML tag, the head, the closing head tag. So let's give this a title, and I will call this working with tables. Working with tables. Then we'll go into the body tag and also close the body tag. So let's give this a heading using h1. So we'll call this working with tables. So this table is going to contain a list of programming language, both front end and back end. So to work with tables in HTML, you're going to start with the table tag. So we'll open and close the table tag. So normally our table will have a heading which will actually explain what the content is about. So to do that, we'll use a tag called thead to specify the heading. Thead. So now after we specify that this is the heading section, then we'll now specify the row, because every content, every column in a table goes inside the row. So we'll have to specify a row, and to do that we'll use the tr tag, tr. And then now we're going to specify the main content that's going to go into the heading. So since this is the heading, we'll be using th tag, which is table heading. Then we'll close that. Then this th tag is the tag that's going to give us like the column we need. So we're going to say, okay, this is the first column and what we need is serial number. Then we're now going to create another th tag. That means we're creating another column inside this row. So we'll call this name, that is the language name. And then the last column, which is going to be the third column of the row, is going to be the category of the language, whether it's a front-end language or a back-end language. So we'll call this category. This is like the heading. Now since we're done with the heading, we're now going to move to the body section, that is the content of each column. So we're going to do that inside the tbody tag. Tbody, close that too. So in here we're also going to specify a row, since every content is going to go into a row, but this row now is going to be the second row, which means whatever we type in now is going to fit into the columns of the first row, which is the heading row. So we're going to type, now instead of typing th here, this is not our header, but let's first of all type in the table row before specifying the content. So instead of typing th here, we'll type td, that is the table data. So in the previous one we used th because it was a heading, but since it's not a heading, we're going to use td tag, table data, td. So in here we're going to write 1. So it's going to match with the first column of the first row, which is the serial number. So this is going to be like the first element in that column. So td, we're going to write another column which is going to match with the name of the language. So we'll now say, okay, let's call this HTML, and then we're going to create the third one, which is going to be the type of the language. In this case, this one is a front-end language. We're just going to write front-end. So we are through the first row and we have 3 items that is matching to the other one. So we're going to create another row, which is tr. We'll close the row, and notice the way I'm indenting this. So it's just to make your code more readable. It's a good programming practice to actually indent your code. And that's why we're doing this like this. So we're going to create another one, td. I will close this. So this is going to be the second one, td. I'll close this, and then we're going to write css. Cool. So td, then we're going to specify whether this is a front-end language or a back-end language, in which case it's a front-end language. So now we have 2 rows. We have 3 rows, the first one being the heading, and then we have 2 contents. And I say we're going to create 5 rows. So we have created 3 rows and we're left with 2 rows. So we're going to create the other 2 rows, and then we'll just put in back-end languages. So tr and tr. So we're going to put table data. This is the third language. And then we'll create the language itself. Let's call this Python. Then we're going to specify whether it's a front-end language or a back-end language. So this is a back-end language, back-end. So we'll now create the last one, which is the 5th one, the 5th row. So tr. So we're now going to say this is the 4th element in the table. So this is number 4. And then the language name, let's say Ruby. Ruby. Then we're going to specify if it's a front-end language or a back-end language. It is a back-end language. So cool. We have 5 rows and 3 columns table. So with this, our table is working perfectly. Let's just save it and see how it works. So we're going to save this as table.html. So this is saved. I'm going to run this in the browser to see how it works. And you can see we have a good table. This is the heading we created with h1, and then this is our table. And you can see that we have 3 columns and 5 rows. So you can also like kind of specify a border for a table so that you're going to see it well in form of a table. So let's do that. What you need to do is to go back to your code, and in the table tag you're going to specify an attribute called border, and then let's just set this to 1. So when you do that, go back to your page and refresh, and then you see that we have this in a table. Let me zoom in if you can see it well, so you can see how it looks. This is our h1, and you can see the table is working perfectly. So this is a 5x3 table that contains elements, so 5 rows and 3 columns. So basically this is how you deal with tables. This is how you create tables in HTML using the table tag. List in HTML. So you can list out things in HTML. Maybe if you want to list out a number of things, maybe things you want to buy or something. So maybe you want to list things like using 1, 2, 3 or ABC or even a bullet. So you can do that in HTML. And there are tags you can actually use to achieve that. That's what we're going to do in this section of the course. So open a new file, and then you're going to type in the doctype HTML as usual. Then starting with the HTML tag, which we're going to close HTML, and then the head. You're kind of like getting used to this, doing this over and over again. And then a title, let's give this a title. Then we're going to say working with list. Cool. So now let's go into the body section and have our contents. Body. So we're going to have a heading to tell what the page is about. Then we're going to say this is actually working with lists. Working with lists. Cool. So now to actually create a list of elements, the tag you're going to use, there are like 2 kinds of tags, in like kind of 2 ways to list an element in HTML. You can use the numbering, which is either 1, 2, 3 ABC, and you can also use bullets. So in HTML they are called ordered and unordered list. So an ordered list is the one that uses 1, 2, 3 or ABC or I, which is the Roman numerals, what have you. So the unordered list is the one that uses bullets. So we're going to use both of them in this section of the course. So let's start with the ordered list. So the tag used for ordered list is OL, and then you open and close the OL tag. So this is telling HTML that you want an ordered list. By default, it's going to give us 1, 2, 3, and we are going to stick to that. So now to actually specify an item, maybe the first item, second item, third item, you're going to use the li tag, which is actually the item itself that's going to come into the list. So what we are going to do is to list out programming languages. So starting with HTML, we have 1 programming language, and then we can have another programming language, CSS. So call this CSS. We can also have another language. We're going to create up to 5 languages. Then we call this JavaScript. We're also going to have a 4th language. Then we call this Python. And then the last item, let's call this Ruby. So save this and call this list.html. List.html. We've saved this. So let's run this in the browser and see how it looks. Launch in Chrome. So you can see we have a list of elements which is 1 2 3 because we asked it to give us an ordered list, so that's why it gives us 1 2 3 4 5. Let me zoom that in so you can see how it works. If we have more elements, the numbering is going to keep going because we're working with lists. We are listing elements, and then we ask the HTML to actually list it out as an ordered list. That means it's going to be numbers by default. You can also modify this to give you ABC or I and I or what have you. So let's now create a list of an unordered item. So let's see how that's going to look like. So to create an unordered list, you're going to use the UL tag, unordered list, UL tag. So you use UL, and then you also close that. That means unordered list. And then to list out the items, you're also going to use li tag. So let's list this out. We are going to list out some technologies used in web development. So let's start with React. And then we also write Bootstrap. Then let's Angular. We're going to list 5 items. Let's put in Django, and then the last item, Ruby on Rails. So let's save this and go to the browser and see how it looks. So you can see we have a list of items that are not in a number or an alphabet. So this is basically what an ordered list looks like. It's a list with a bullet, while the ordered list is with numbers or with an order. So it's kind of like it has an order that it follows, but this one is just a bullet, doesn't have any order that it follows. So that's basically the difference between an ordered list and an unordered list. So when you notice that we have an extra list here, bullet here, that's because we didn't close this tag. When I close the tag, it's going to go away. So let's save this, go back to that place and refresh, and it's no more there. So when you forget to close an li tag, that's what happens. Cool. Forms in HTML. So in HTML, we can design forms using HTML tags. So forms are kind of a way you accept input from your users, and then maybe you do some other operations after that. So like in the first section of this course, I showed you a form which was like in a Facebook profile, in a Facebook page. So I showed you a login form and a logout form. So we are going to see how those forms are built in this section of the course. So to begin with, let's create a new file, then include our doctype HTML. Now beginning with the HTML tag and also closing the tag, then we'll go into the head tag and close the head tag. So we'll now give it the title, forms. Cool. So go into the body tag and close the body tag. So before we start working with forms, we're going to specify an heading. Call this forms. So there's a tag called the form tag. That's the tag you're going to want to begin with when you're working with forms. So you just form and you close the form tag. So this is actually telling HTML that we want to use the form. Now the other elements of the form can now come in. So we are going to build a basic form having a user's name, date of birth, and even a user's username, a password, and asking the user whether it's a male or female, that is the sex. And then we're also going to have a submit button and a set button. So let's get started. So to begin with, we'll need the user's name. So we'll use a tag called label just to display to the user that we need his name. Label, it's just a label to tell the person that we need something. So we're going to write name. We need the user's name. So what does the real work is the input tag. We use the input tag, and then when you write input, you're going to write type, the type of input you're accepting. You're going to specify that, and then this is going to be a text. Since it's just a name, it's going to be a text, and then we'll give it a name. We'll give it a name, and this name is just something that we'll use to identify it in the back end that we want this input. So we'll call it the user name. Username, let's just say user full name. That's the name of the input when someone wants to call it from the back end. User full name. So we're done with the name. We'll now create another label. So this label is going to ask the user of his username, and then we're going to specify the input that does that work, and then we'll specify the type. So there's a type called username. Then we'll also give it a name, and then we'll call this username. Or let's just follow the same pattern as the above. So we'll say username. Then we'll need a third input, a password. So this label just tells the user that this is what we need. Password. Cool. Then we'll now use the inputs to actually do the work. So the type of this input is going to be a password. There's a type called password, and then the name of this input is going to be called user underscore password. Cool. So we've done three things. We've taken the user's name, we've taken his username and his password. Now let's try taking his date of birth. So this label will just tell the user that we need this input. So we'll tell the user that we need his date of birth, and then the input tag does the real work. We say input, and then the type is going to be just date, and then we give it a name. Let's say DOB, which stands for date of birth. That's going to be in a column, in a quote. So user DOB, that means user's date of birth. So at this point, let's save and see if it's working. So Ctrl S and save this as form.html. So what we'll now do is preview this in our browser and see how it looks. Now you can see that we have a name, so you can basically type in any text, and we have a username where you can type in our username, and then have a password field. When you type anything, it's going to be like you won't see it. It's scrambled because we actually tell HTML that we need a password field, and this is how password behaves. That's why it's behaving like this. And then have a date field asking us of our dates. So you can see that you can fill in the dates, the month, the date, and the time, or you can even click here. This is something that Chrome does for you. If you use IE, you won't see this. So if you want something like this, maybe you have to design it yourself, but Chrome allows you to see it like this. So basically we have a name, a username, a password, and a date of birth. So we need other things like the user's sex, whether it's a male or a female, and that's going to we will not be using normal inputs. We'll be using a drop down box so that the user can choose one out of the two. So there's a tag called select. That's the tag we'll be using, select, and then we're going to give it a name. This is the user's sex. Cool. And then there's a tag called option. So this option is going to be what we use to list the options of this select tag. So option, we'll open and close the option tag. And then our first option is whether the user is a male. And then we now specify the second option and whether the user is a female. So we can also ask ask the user if he's none. Maybe he's not a male and he's not a female, so you can also type it other. So let's save this and go to our browser and refresh. So you see that we have a sex something here, male and female and other, but we don't have a label, so it's good we specify a label for that. So like before this, we can just have a label. So in this label, we will ask the user of his sex. So when you go back to the browser and refresh, you're going to have that label there. So that's just the work of label, just to like describe your input, so that the user knows what you are asking. So cool. So when you click on this, you have the male, female, and other. So cool. So we've done the name, the username, the password, the date of birth, and the sex. So there are many like inputs are something you can use for HTML, but these are some of them. You can also make use of like the file, so the user will input his maybe an attachment or a passport or a photo or what have you, anything. So you just specify it in the input. So let's say passport, let's call this passport or photo or whatever. This is just a label. So in the input, you now specify the type and call this file. Then we're also going to give it a name. We will say user underscore passport. Cool. So let's save this and go to the browser and refresh. And you can see we have a choose file here, and then we have a passport here to describe it, which is awesome. So now supposing we fill all this form, I want to submit this data, we're going to need a button that will click to submit. And so to do that, there's a type of input called button. So let's just do that. So input, and then the type is going to be button. We can use button or you can use submit. So but let's just use submit since we're submitting data. And then there's also a need for a value, but let me not put that. Let's see how it will look like before putting in a value. So let's save this and go back to the browser and refresh. You can see we have a submit button here. So cool, we have a submit button there. Then we can also have another input and call that reset. So the type is going to be reset. So when you fill out a form and you want to like clear it and refill again, when you click on reset, everything will just wipe out. So let's refresh this and have a reset button. So you can basically like fill a form and click on the reset button and it will going to be cleared. So you can use value to specify what you want to appear in the button. You can use value, and then you now say, okay, we don't want submit, we want maybe create, and then instead of reset, we want something like clear. So when you save this and go back to the browser and refresh, we can see that we have those values here. When someone fills out the form and he clicks create, the data are going to be submitted. And when he clicks reset, like clear, everything will go. So when you fill in something and click on clear, it will go. So the value just like changes what appears inside the button. So that's it for the value. And then you want to give this a name. So let's say this is submit. And then so this label, we can actually specify the label for which input it is. So you can just use the 4 attributes, and then you're going to like put in the name of the inputs. So in this place we have user full name. So and this is like the inputs this label is describing. So you're going to write user full name here, and then for the username we're going to also have the same thing, label for, and then we're going to like put user underscore username. And when we come to the password, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say for, and then user underscore password. Cool. So date of birth, we can do the same thing and say okay, for equals to user underscore DOB, date of birth. Then this label, we can do the same thing and say for equals to sex. That's what we used, sex. And then the passport, we can also do the same thing and say okay, this label is for user underscore passport. And basically we have everything working the way we want. So this is basically how you can create a form in HTML. This is a basic form. So let's refresh this. Everything works well. So but you can see that the forms are kind of like in one line, and we may want maybe 2 inputs in one line and then the others should go in the next line, or maybe 1 per line. So let's do 1 per line. So to actually like break to the next line, there is a tag called BR. That's a break tag. It breaks whatever is after the tag to the next line. So let's come to this, like the ending of this first input, and then write BR. So let's go to browser and refresh, and you see that everything after the BR tag goes down. So we can apply this to all our tags, to all our inputs, and make them look good, so that they're going to go in a new line. So BR, and then this is going to have BR2, and after this input we want BR, and then finally after the passport we want a new line. So we would like love to have the submit button and the reset button to be in the same line, so we'll not give any break after that. So let's refresh this and see how it looks. And you can see we have like almost every item in a new line, but then they are all like kind of, they are attached to each other, so we want to separate. So to do that, we're going to add a new BR, making it 2, so that we'll have an empty space after each one. Add a BR here, then do the same here, BR. Then for the final one we're going to have a BR. Cool. So let's save this and go and see how it looks. And you can see now that I'll have a space after each one. It looks like okay this way. HTML links. So you can work with links in HTML. Links are kind of a way that you connect your web page to another page, or kind of they're just a connection between your page to another page. So that's what we're going to do in this section of the course. So what we're going to do is we're going to link our pages together. So when you go to like a website, you see all those menus there. The menu maybe like the home, the about us, the contact, and any other form, any other menu. So those menus are using links. They are linked to pages in your site or pages in another site, that is external links. So what we're going to do in this section of the course is we're going to link all our pages together. That means we're going to create a navigation menu. So let's go to the index, which is the first thing we created, and then after the body tag we're going to create a tag called nav, and we'll also close the nav tag. Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to link all our pages that we have together. So there's a tag that is called a tag, that is the anchor tag. That's the tag we're going to be using for linking. So we'll use a anchor, and then we'll also close the a tag. So the first like file we're going to link to is our headings.html. This is like the file we're going to link to. So there is an attribute for the anchor tag called href that allows you like to specify the location of your file. So since these files are in the same location, what we're going to do is just to write the file name and it's headings.html. That is the name of the file, and then in here we'll specify what will be seen by the user. So we'll just call this headings. This is our first item, so we're going to create another item and href, which is then the other one is basic.html. so that's what we're going to specify in this place, basic.html. and then here we're going to like basic contents. Then we're going to go for the third one, anchor tag href, and then the third one is multimedia.html. so we'll spell that multimedia.html, and then this is going to be multimedia. Then the next one is table, that's table.html. so href table.html, and here we're going to specify tables. The next one is list.html. href list.html, and here we're going to have lists, and we'll close the anchor tag. The next one is form, so this is href form.html. so we'll call this form and we'll close the anchor tag. So let's save this. Then there's one we forgot, which is this the home page itself. So we're going to like put that to href equals to this page, which is index.html. so we'll call this home page, and let's close the anchor tag. So let's open this in our browser and see how it looks. So you can see that we have all these links here, and when you click on any of these links, they take you to all those files that we actually created. So when you click on the home page, it's going to be this same page. The headings will take us to the heading file, and when you go back and click on basic contents, it's going to bring us to this other page. When you click on multimedia, you have these videos and audios that we created. When you go back and click on tables, you can see the tables we worked on, and then when you click on list, you'll see the list, the unordered and ordered list. And then when you click on forms, you see form that we created. So basically it's how you link your web pages together. But then there's a problem, like when you click on headings, there's no way you can go back unless you use the back button, and you should be able to like navigate through your site, like from any page. You should be able to come back to whichever page you want to come to. So now what you want to do is kind of like just copy this navigation and put them in all of your files. So you come to the headings, after the body you paste it and save. The basic, after your body you paste it and save. The multimedia, after the body tag you paste and save. The table, after the body you paste it and save it. And then the list, you paste it and save it. And then the form, you paste it in the form and then you save it. Now when you go to your browser and you refresh, now when you go to any page, you should be able to kind of like navigate back to any other page. So when you click on form, you'll be taken to form. When you click on list, you take it to list. When you click on multimedia, like from any page you are, you can navigate to whichever page you want to navigate to. So this is basically what a list does. It allows you to link pages together. So actually what we've done now is actually internal linking. We've linked our web pages that are in our files and our folders together. So to create an external link, let's go back to our HTML and then let's go to the home page. So let's say you want to have a link to facebook.com. all you will do is just say you use the anchor tag and then href. Now instead of writing the name of the file.html or whatever, what you're going to do is just type in the URL, the full URL of the site you are actually linking to, or the post or article you are linking to. So you're going to write the full URL. So if it's google.com, You write like this, www.google.com, and then here you're going to specify what the user will see and click. And then you can also have facebook.com, href equal to, and then you specify the full URL of Facebook. You're going to have www.facebook.com, and you specify what the person will see here and click. Then you close the tag. So these are like the different ways you can link. You can use links with your site. You can make internal links and external links. So when you save this and go to your browser and refresh, you'll see the links there. So when you click on Google, it should take you to google.com, and when you click on Facebook, it should take you to facebook.com. So let me just clean this and leave it Facebook. So that's really what links are all about. Div and span. You can group elements in HTML using the div and span tags. So let's just like jump into our basic.html page and then see how we can use div and span. So let's come to this place. Starting with the span, what the span does is it allows you to select some element in a single line which you can apply some style to, maybe color or what have you. So all we'll do is to make some of these things bold using the strong tag. There's a tag called strong that makes a text bold. So we'll select from this place, and then we'll use the span tag, span, and then we'll like stop in this place and then span. This is the closing span tag. So whatever is between this span tag is going to be affected by what we actually specify in this tag. So what I say we will do is we will give it a strong, just to make it bold. So now when you now check the page in your browser, you're going to see that that portion has been made bold, and you can see that here. This should be it. So like from this place to this place is bold. So I didn't actually stop this, and that's why it went to the end. So now let's refresh this, and you see that just from this place to this place is bold. So another thing we are going to introduce is the style attributes. You don't need to worry about that now because it's actually CSS, but I just want to apply a color to this specific place that we use the span tag. So all we'll do is to call the style attribute style, and then equal to, you're giving a quote, then you now say color, and then you give this color, and then let's just say blue color. So and then a semicolon. So save this, go to the browser and refresh, and you see that that area only is has a blue color. So that's basically what a span tag allows you to do. So you can select some elements in the same line and apply a different style to it. So with the div tag allows you to select a group of elements and then give them a specific styling or some formatting. So let's say everything from this place we just give in a div tag, and then we'll like up to the end, everything here, let's say div, and then let's say we want to align everything that is in this place and take them to the center. So let's save this and refresh, and you can see that everything is in the middle. Everything within the div tag is in the middle except this one, and that's because like what HTML does is it uses like the innermost one and then it now goes up. So the hierarchy is like it takes what is in the first line, the first element itself before going into the div element. So the div is like the parent. So this one that has like its own kind of behavior, so it didn't do that. So when we take away this right from here and then leave this one like this and save this, When we go back to the browser, you notice that everything is in the middle. So what, instead of like trying to like align this one to be in the middle, the first one, second and third one, doing this like individually, we can just use a div element and apply one single styling, and then all of them will just like take effect. So with the span you can do inline elements, and with div you can group elements and kind of like apply styles to them. So basically that's what span and div are all about. You are going to see div a lot more because they use div more than span. So we've come to the end of our HTML tutorial. Hope you found value in this and enjoyed it. So I would love to know what you have to say about this content, whether you found value in it, in the comments below. So please subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and hit the bell so that you get our content whenever we release new contents. It's nice having you around. I'll see you in the next video.